Good afternoon, folks. This is Alex at Chalet Baron, and in this episode, I've decided to go back to looking at doubles, but more specifically, issues that people might or might not have with the upswing aspect of it. So, people who have already got the doubles. If people have already got the doubles worked out, I'm still getting one or two responses back, which is, what about the double ups? What about that upswing, and how can I develop a better upswing? So really quick, just like I've addressed in previous videos, you can remember that trick of going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. The benefit of the stopping and moving is, again, to develop that fast twitch sort of muscle sort of thing. But when you're actually playing, you need to get comfortable with the double ups, or in some cases triple ups if you're able to fit them into a set piece. So some ways to develop specifically, and I'm going to talk through the number of different grips. So we have, basically the pen grip, which is like this. So the stick is largely not caught into the fist itself. It's on the, right about here. There you go. So not this grip, and not this grip. We're talking just this one for now. I find a way to help meter and control the double ups is to think, and I want you to actually focus your mind, if we don't get too zen here, but focus your mind on that middle finger, which I am not going to stick in front of the camera, but when you have it rested, focus on that finger. Focus on this finger. And focus on the feeling here. And what I want you to try out is, in order to fine-tune that twitch, is to think like you're pushing the tipper up using just that finger. Everything else is just there to make sure the tipper doesn't go flying out. But that tight grip there, in the way of thinking that the down hits are hit with the thumb, the ups are controlled by that middle finger, of which I almost put it in front of the camera and gave everyone the bird. So if you're hitting down, think thumb. Feel thumb. Feel it. And this is just to get you going until your muscles are rather used to it. But on the way up, think that middle finger. Back up. Okay? If you're someone who plays more like, and this is very much single-end technique at the moment, we'll get to the double-ended stuff in a bit, because this is not always a tipper that someone might use. If your hold is more like the baby grip, or beggar's grip as I've called it before, the same thing applies. But your grip is kind of coming from in here, and you're going to start pushing up in a different way. Unlike the pen grip, where you're kind of, in the pen grip you're gripping low. This is the bit that's pushing up. Pushing down, higher, pushing up, lower. The same thing is going to happen here in that baby grip. You're actually going to think pushing down for the down hits, pushing up with the two lower fingers, the baby finger and the ring finger. That suddenly becomes the thing that pushes it back up, like that. If you focus on your two gripping fingers here, and you're in the baby grip, you can feel the difference. Try just letting that go, and then try hitting up. There's not much control, and there's a lot of weight. And I should know this is a heavy tipper. But if you're holding it lower and you're using those lower fingers to come up, you got so much more in line with the muscles in your arm, and you're, instead of using opposing grip, you're actually using an opposing grip that's only there to steady, and the rest is in an upward motion from the rest of the fingers. So they're coming up like that. So you're striking down like that, and I'm just exaggerating here, but you're going to strike up with the fingers. Like that. One down, one up. One, grip, up, open, down, grip, up, open, down, grip, up. Okay? So when doubling down, that's easy. Gripping up, or doubling up rather, take the grip and let the fingers do the work. Like that. You'll have much more control than you normally have trying to bring it up with your fingers trying to do all the work. The pen grip does the exact same thing, except you're not tensing the fingers at all. You're just letting the lower finger, that middle finger, be the guiding finger up and the muscle to put it up, along with the muscles in your arm and what you're doing with your wrist. The thumb is doing the down hits. So thumb down, finger up. In the baby grip, it's thumb down, fingers up. And again, you'll be opening and closing. Down, up, down, up. If you're someone who plays in a double-ended style, and I'm just going to take the same stick and try to do the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. If you have a grip that literally holds the tipper with a full fist, it's the same idea. In this case, you're going to rely more on the double twitch in the muscles and the guiding of the wrist. You have all the guide you need, but the one thing that you're lacking in a full-fisted grip is that you don't have that extra little snap. It's kind of like in a whip, where the whip action comes from here, and it comes out, and it makes its way to the end of it, and then it kind of snaps out, like someone trying to do the worm. It's that sort of motion. A small version of that motion is happening when you're playing. If you're playing with the pen grip, you actually have that. It's transferring back and forth between those two fingers, thumb and middle finger. If you're in the baby grip, it's from the thumb and the bottom fingers, because you can just snap it. Same thing. Snap, snap. Snap, snap. But if you're trying to do it with a full grip, a full out baby grip with a full fisted grip, you don't have that. So you need to get used to doing that on its own. Something that might help is that your grip opens up momentarily, and then as you swing up, close the grip. It's the same idea as the normal baby grip. So when you're hitting down, full out. 1, 2. And in slow motion, what I'm doing is closed fist, down, open, and close as I come up. 1, 2. Like that. Personally, I'm not very good at that particular grip. That's a lot for my brain to sort of take in. I find that the baby grip from the finger and thumb here, or the bigger grip, to be a little more natural. And even though it's a bit of a weird grip, there's a reason why people use it a lot, and that's because you can snap very, very easily. The pen grip is also like that. You get tons of linear motion being transferred and tons of torque. That's the key here, is the torque. Motion being transferred from this into a radial motion. Okay? If you're someone who doesn't use ball-ended tippers or teardrop-ended tippers, if you're someone who likes the dowel tipper, straight up the dowel tipper, it's the same idea. Same sort of focus. Middle finger in the pen grip. You know, those bottom fingers, again. Like that. And if you're doing the full grip, which I'm not very good at, you got to start either shaking the wrist out like you're trying to wipe water off, or you got to get used to that. If you're someone who actually likes to hold these grips on the inside, which like I do sometimes in the thumb lock grip, you're doing the exact same thing as the baby grip, except you're no longer using the fingers, you're using the bottom palm of the hand. It's coming back to smack it up. But there's one problem. Unlike the baby grip, which has tons of radial motion and radial range, and by that I mean you can control it from here, you can control it from way out here, you can open up completely and spank it. But what you can't do with this weird grip is that you cannot just snap it back, because the grip doesn't quite work that way. For whatever reason, there's just less tolerance for that. So what you have to get trying to do is a little bit of a whip snap, like that. So instead of like that, it's a like that. There's a little bit of a whip snap. So as you're playing, it looks a little more hectic, but that's just because of the point of contact swinging there, and because you need the wrist to start bending. So if you're a person who likes to play with the bent wrist, that actually is beneficial if you're a bent wrist player and you like to play a single-handed. Maybe you like to do the thumb lock grip, because then suddenly it makes more sense to strum it out. Some doubles. Then up. Oops. You can hear it? Like that. It's a little bit difficult. As I've sort of been more and more training myself to use the baby grip and the pen grip, I've actually slowly gotten away from this. And again, remember when I was talking about doubles and triplets coming from the closing of the thumb? Very, very easy to do, but only in one direction. It does not operate in the same way because your thumb, you don't have a thumb on the other side of your finger. And unless you're capable of gripping like this and playing, yeah, I can't really do it, but it's easier. It feels more natural, just I'm not used to it. It's a bit strange. Because the thumb is as designed as it is, coming back up to double hit is more difficult. Double hits down is very, very fast, but double hits up is more and more difficult. So quick recap on that. The pen grip, focus on the middle finger pushing up. The baby grip, I would call it a shallow baby grip or the beggar grip. Let those fingers provide the oomph to come back up. If you're doing a full fisted grip, open and let the bottom of the palm push it up. And if you're doing an inside sort of lock hammer and thumb grip, you're going to have to either flick it out and back, or you're going to have to focus on the palm somewhat controlling. You cannot rely on the thumb to do this because the thumb doesn't quite work that way. Okay? Some of the things that I'm not covering because I don't know how to do the particular playing method is if you're a person who plays this way or this way. I don't know how to do that. So unfortunately, if you're like a Tommy Hayes player, someone who plays more like this way, I'm terrible at the Tommy Hayes method. This is not a good tipper for it either. But I don't know how to do the double ups in that. Unfortunately, I just haven't trained my body to do it, and unfortunately it's not a big focus for me. I would suggest asking around on how to do the double up hits off the leading hit of the tipper. So, it's worth some thought. So one more time. If you're doing the pen grip, focus on that middle finger. It's lower. If you're focusing on a sort of a beggar's grip or a baby grip, you're going to focus on those lower fingers, clenching them to provide that very fine tuning mechanism. If you're doing the full hand grip, I suggest squeezing and tightly bringing it back. If you can train your brain that way, great. If you're doing the thumb lock thing, you're going to have to rely more and more on how the wrist comes in and out and how you can control it with the palm of your hand. You won't be able to do it from the thumb. It only works in the downward way. And if you're trying the Tommy Hayes method, you're SOL. I can't help you. Sorry. So that's basically what I can give you for tips on developing those doubles up. Okay? So give it a shot. It's worth trying out, and it's always worth trying it slow. I'm not even going to try. Good luck, folks. Have a good one.